of the members of the Security Council. I will try to speak louder. The members of the Security Council continue to follow developments in Yemen closely. They were briefed for the third time over the past week by DPA and OCHA and praised the ongoing efforts of UN staff on the ground. They noted that the Special Envoy's efforts on Hodeida remained ongoing, and they asked to be kept updated in real time. They reiterated their call for the ports of Hodeida and Salif to be kept open and operating safely, given the continuing risk to the humanitarian situation. They reiterated their call for the full implementation of Security Council resolutions, including Resolution 2216, and urged all sides to uphold their obligations under international humanitarian law. They welcomed the brief from the Special Envoy on his proposals to restart the political process, reaffirmed their full support for his efforts, and underlined that a political solution remains the only way to end the conflict in Yemen. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're not telling us anything about what Martin Griffiths briefed you, and whether in your national capacity you find his plan workable, and when do you expect the direct negotiation to start between the different Yemeni factions?
He briefed us on the situation. The situation is very disturbing. Everybody shares the concerns of Mr. Lowcock and Mr. Griffiths. And we are really, planning to work together to help the United Nations, and also we state here in the press elements that the political solution remains the only way to end the war. That's the basis for our efforts. I think everybody shares this.
But you didn't give us your impression about the plan that has been told to you during this briefing about Martin Griffiths' plan for comprehensive peace in Yemen.
That's the common position that was adopted after he presented his plan. Okay.
Did Mr. Griffiths call for freeze, ask you to help in freezing the military escalation in Hodeida?
Well, we all hope that nothing terrible will happen further in Hodeida. That's our shared analysis of the situation. But, well, what's happening in the ground is happening.
Ambassador, in your national capacity, please, what's Russia's position on Hodeida port? Who should control the port? You think the UN should be in charge, or it's up to the fighting parties, to like the battle, to decide who's in control and on the ground?
We think that it is critical that this port should be continued to be used for the humanitarian aid. That's the basic point.
Ambassador, do you think it's time for the Security Council to take up another resolution, explore this option of calling for an end to hostilities? Does the Security Council have a responsibility?
I think we are doing what we can at this stage. All options are open, but for the time being, we are monitoring the situation. We are supporting of work of Mr. Griffiths and Mr. Lowcock, and we'll see what we can do in the future.
Mr. Ambassador, two things. Did Mr. Lowcock say that the port was still operating, and at what capacity? And on the plan that Mr. Griffiths presented, could you give us any details at all? Was it like steps? Was it, did it have any kind of a time frame?
The port continues to operate for the time being. That was confirmed by Mr. Griffiths, and it's very difficult to speak about time frame. The political moves that are being proposed are being supported by us. We remain in consultations with him, but the situation now is very volatile, I would say. So I would prefer not to dwell into details at this point.
Ambassador, just to clarify, can this framework for peace talks go ahead while there's a military operation in Hodeida?
We have all our faith in Mr. Griffiths.
Would you
your understanding of who's sort of calling the shots on the assault in terms of
Sorry?
in terms of actually having decided to go forward with the moves on Hodeida? Is it more the Saudi Arabia, the UAE, the Yemeni army, such as it is? Who is the main protagonist in the decision to go for Hodeida?
Actually, we didn't discuss it. It was not the topic of our consultations, so I don't think I'm entitled to speak about it. Thank you.
Ambassador, did Mr. Griffith brief you on how his negotiations with the Houthi rebels are going in terms of evacuating the city or the ports and where those stand?
He's still confident, and we support him. Yeah.
Actually, this was why I wanted to ask about any progress in his talks, because also he has two proposals, one on Hodeida and one on the political process. Do you see that there is any progress on both tracks?
We hope that he will succeed, so we have all the hope in him and all the support. So let's wait some time and see what will come out of this. Thank you very much.
What is he doing next, Mr. Griffith? Is he going to Abu Dhabi? What's he doing?
He didn't mention it to us, but he has all the authority to do the steps that he finds necessary. Thank you very much. Thank you.